I don't even really know where to begin. Well, Elder Scrolls Blades, for the handful of you who are unaware, was a free Elder Scrolls game for mobile phones that later saw a random port to the Switch, of all things. Just saying the words free phone game has more than likely already given you an idea of what exactly it entails. So, why am I wasting my time on it? Well, truth be told, I never properly played it. Downloaded it years ago and messed around for like 30 minutes or so before shutting it off and not really thinking about it again until today. As of the date I'm beginning this recording, the game will permanently be taken offline and outright gone in just 1 week, essentially making it lost media and no way to ever access it again after June 30th, 2026. I don't care how bad the game may be, there is zero reason to completely remove it from existence. Stop killing games. In other words, this video exists simply because I figured I'd at the very least like to beat the game for myself before the ability to do so is ripped away from me for no real reason whatsoever. I guess you could say that makes it a timed challenge in line with Metal Gear Saga and Dragon Age Origins 100% marathons, but truth be told, I expect this to be more casual as it's not like I'm planning to fully 100% the thing. I just want to finish its main story, assuming it has one, as well as some side content just to say that I have. Also, I suppose you could say the answer to the video's title is an automatic no, considering this video is most likely going up after the game has been deleted off the face of the planet. Now, with all that out of the way, let's begin. Game's already off to a good start, seeing as it allows me to straight up kill a member of the Thalmor before even reaching the menu to sign the user agreement. As the name implies, you're in control of a former member of the Blades on their way back to their hometown, all the while trying to lay low and avoid being discovered by the Thalmor, seeing as being a Blade, former or otherwise, is punishable by death. Looking at it, it really does just look like mobile Skyrim, doesn't it? What with the similar UI and abundance of reused assets. I run into some mercenaries and now we see proper combat for the first time, I suppose. Remember, I am on a controller on the Switch version, so how I attack is by holding down one of the triggers until this circle is filled up, and then releasing it once it turns yellow. Depending on which trigger I used after I land a blow, I then want to do the same with the opposite trigger to do a combo, and so on and so forth. If I release the trigger right as the circle is completely filled, it will be a critical and naturally do a little bit of extra damage. There is a block and parry system, but I didn't know about that just yet, so as for now, this is all there is to combat in my eyes. It's simple, but it works. On one hand, I must keep reminding myself that it was a mobile game, so the simplicity should be expected to a degree. On the other though, they did think it was good enough to put on a home console, so the question becomes, do I look at it with the same expectations I'd have for a console game? Regardless, I fight through more of the mercenaries and find out two things. One, they answer to someone called the Bloodfall Queen, and two, they have completely destroyed our hometown we were on our way to. Making it to the ruins formerly called home, we meet Junius, who gets us to the character creator. You have access to all the races you'd normally get in the Elder Scrolls, and as I am doing this as casual as you can, I just go with my Argonian warrior Florence, who exists in just about any game that will let me. Back to Junius, and he tells us that the Bloodfall Queen's men came to collect taxes, and in doing so, a scuffle occurred, causing one of them to break the statue outside the town hall, and as soon as that happened, green fire erupted from everywhere and burnt down the town. Not all the townsfolk died, however, so my first quest is to find them. They ran to a nearby fort, so I'm dealing with rats and goblins. Small critters like the skeevers are slightly different in that I must wait till they get close enough to hit them, so there is some timing involved. That said, I found out much later that just rapidly swinging was also a viable strategy, probably noticing every time I kill something it bursts full of goodies like a piñata. It's mostly just basic materials for rebuilding the town, making potions and crafting weapons and armour, as well as the occasional low-level gear, which I suppose for right now is fine, seeing as I am level 1. On the topic of loot, I open my first chest, and yes, these are the game's loot boxes. More on that later. For now, know that the two best things from this one was a mace and a scroll of revival. To say something positive, your typical one-handed weapons like longswords, axes and maces can be two-handed in this if you don't have a shield in your offhand, and by doing so it'll increase the damage that they can do. Think of it like how the Souls games do the same thing. As someone who mainly uses two-handed weapons, this is a feature I adore. I get the speed of a one-handed weapon, but I can sacrifice some defense for a bit more damage. Fingers crossed this makes it into Elder Scrolls 6 in 2040. I continue to batter all manner of things with my new mace until I reach level 2. A little different than your typical Elder Scrolls title, this time you don't have individual skills that you increase by using said skills, rather you just gain XP like most other RPGs. Health increases automatically upon level up, so it's between your magicka and stamina as to what you will improve. As I am melee focused, I just go with stamina 9 out of 10 times. After, we assign skill points to unlock either spells, abilities, or perks. Spells are self-explanatory, perks are passives to increase damage and resistances, and finally abilities are special moves you can do with melee weapons. Think of them like how you would in a typical MMO. They need stamina to use and have cooldowns. Again, I do not hate this, it helps to spice things up for melee fighters rather than just constantly doing a mix of light and heavy attacks. I'm incredibly boring though, so I just take Armsman, which just increases damage with longswords, war axes, and maces. Not long after, I find and slaughter the boss goblin to free the blacksmith and complete the quest. Secret? Oh, I want to find the secret! Okay, so I go back in and explore a little until I find this glowing part of the wall. Interacting with it reveals a secret entrance and a chest. My reward is an iron helmet that offers some extra health, so decent, I think. Junius thanks me upon my return and immediately sets me to work repairing the town hall. Requires limestone, lumber, and copper, as well as some septims, all of which I have more than enough of. There is also a 5-second wait until it is rebuilt. Those are some very fast workers. After, I then get to name the town. I just went with Nerbania. It's like a combination of my name and Mania, I suppose. Sounds more like a realm than the name of a village, but oh well, I'm in charge now, I make the rules. Going to speak with Lond, the blacksmith we just rescued, and naturally he wishes to remain employed, but to do so he will need a new smithy. We lack the lumber for that, so it was off to the woods to find some wood. Wolves and spriggans litter the paths of the forest. The wolves function like the rats, so nothing too vexing. The spriggans caught me off guard though, seeing as it not only blocked my attack, but left me momentarily stunned in doing so. Also, level 3. More stamina, and I take power attack for a stronger melee move, plus by still two-handing the mace, I can get extra damage on top of it. It's pretty damn strong, takes out most things here in a single blow. The game also introduces weaknesses here. It's very straightforward stuff. The tree people are weak to axes and fire, and skeletons will take more damage from hammer-like weapons, you get the idea. After I find the materials, I return to Nerbania and get the blacksmith shop up and running. Doing so increases the town's prestige. While at level 10 I'm sure it'll earn a funky emblem to show off how much time you've wasted, what it really does for now is contribute to your town's level. Every time you get enough prestige, the town levels up, allowing you to upgrade your buildings further, so in case of the blacksmith here, he'll be able to craft me higher tier arms and armour. For now, I don't worry about all of that and just get a full set of iron. I'm also recognising now that the design of the armours in this are the ones they added in with the anniversary update of Skyrim. That's neat. I always liked the designs of all these suits, so it's cool to see where they came from. A few new faces have come to town. Gaius here is our resident goblin racist, that will become very clear as time goes on, and Sheogorath himself has also popped by. I know it says Theodore Gorlash, but come on, that's part of the bit. He's doing a bad job of hiding who he is, what with the glowing yellow eyes and the oh so lovable voice.
There is a trivial matter we must discuss before anything else. One of vital importance.
Sheo here does two things. He can let you alter your appearance, which I never indulged in because Florence is perfect just the way he is, and he also allows you access to something called the Abyss. I don't bother with it for now, as after all, I have goblins to deal with. This was where I finally learned how to block, by the way. You can hold up on the stick to hold the block, or if you time it just before an attack lands, you can stun them and get in about 2 free hits followed by an ability. This became pretty much my entire game plan for the foreseeable future. The boss goblin is no more challenging than the rest, so with him gone, I finish the quest and hit level 4. This time I take Dodging Strike. As the name implies, you time it well enough and you'll avoid an attack, then counter with one of your own. Gaius congratulates me, I build some more houses to make the village less bleak, then look into the jobs I have access to. It's just what they call radiant quests in this. I try a few and it's all the same. Head to a location, kill some stuff or rescue some people, then get a pitiful amount of XP as a reward. Needless to say, this is the first and last time I indulge these. Back at town and I meet up with a new person called Henrik Sevenswords. Turns out he's my old mentor and for now serves as tutorial stuff mostly, like teaching us about blocking and parrying, but seeing as I already figured that out, this just serves to waste a little time. He does have small sparring quests throughout the game. There's only a handful of them, but each time you win, he gives you a piece of equipment that is typically the tier higher than what you are. So that's good, I guess. One less thing to craft or grind for. Next mission is tracking down the local bandits to a nearby fort to see if there's any more townsfolk to rescue. Turns out there is! A few nobodies, but more importantly, Sashi, the town lore master. She was particularly interested in the town statue that exploded and caused all this mess, so what a coincidence that we have now found a network of tunnels underneath where it once was. It leads to some Iliad ruins, so huzzah for a new environment to explore at the very least. Sashi is intrigued by this discovery, as you might imagine, but as curiosity killed the cat, she opts for us to charge in alone to secure it first. The ruins are filled with wights and skeletons. As a giant beating stick is my go-to weapon of choice, the skeletons are barely a footnote. The wights, while a new enemy, are no real different than the mercenaries we've been fighting, outside of them having different weaknesses, specifically to axes and fire, much the same as the Spriggans. Although if you ask me, I feel like most things should be weak to fire outside of flame atronachs and dragons. After putting down a slightly tougher wight, we come across a giant door we cannot open, so back to town we go to see what Sashi has to say. She's more intrigued by the empty sarcophagus we found and figures that when the statue was destroyed, then it must have removed a magical seal, allowing whatever was inside to escape, and resulting in the explosion that leveled the town. After this, I opened the gold loot crate I got as a quest reward, and was fortunate enough to get a superior steel longsword of Sparks. That is much better than what I am currently rocking, so I equip it right away. I do more random adventures in the woods to quell the bandit population, before finding another new resident who tells me a friend of his likes to create puzzles for adventurers like myself, and then invites me to said tower. It uses the same design as the ruins under the town, but when compared to the rest of the quests I've been on, it does have more secrets to discover. Like, a lot more secrets to discover. I find them all, but this somewhat reinforces a feeling I had about the secrets in the levels. They're all mostly worthless. Every time you find one, all you really get is the lowest tier type of chest, and as such, the rewards you find inside are 99% of the time worse than what you already have. That is to say, I eventually stopped bothering to go out of my way to look for the secrets. Also, Gaius the Psycho sends me to kill even more tiny green men. Dude's got a problem. To spice things up just a little, I have been invited to partake in some arena matches. It's exactly as it sounds. You go to the arena for a one-on-one duel and defeat your opponent to emerge the victor. These combatants have abilities of their own and are tougher to put down than the common rabble of goblins and bandits we have mostly been dealing with, so it's a nice change in that regard. This arena thing is also its own whole quest line, separate from the main quest of dealing with the bandits and finding out more about the ruins beneath the town and who was trapped there. They are rather straightforward and you get a decent amount of XP for little effort, so I'll probably tackle them when they pop up as there's no real reason not to. Speaking of the ruins, we have to traverse them further, as now we know we are searching for some sorcerer king of old. Naturally, we want to find out his name so we can figure out what we are dealing with. It's more of the same, to be honest, just wights and skeletons again. Figured maybe there would be some ghosts or zombies at some stage, you know, as was the norm in Oblivion when traversing old Iliad sites, but no, just the same two enemy types as before, copy and pasted ad nauseum. Did find a necklace that increases the amount of shock damage I do though. That could very well be just for spells, but I am choosing to do zero research and just assume it means my shock sword will now zap things slightly harder. After all's said and done, I find some tablets and take them to Sashi to translate. Need to give her time to figure that out, which simply means the rest of that part of the quest is locked off until I level up some more, so it's off to see what else I can tackle. First off, my second arena match, this one against an Argonian with a name so edgy I cannot help but giggle. He's not so tough, so to celebrate I help Gaius down his dark path of making goblins an endangered species. Enough about the non-radiant radiant quests. I used the resources I've been gathering this whole time to craft myself a full suit of steel armor, then set off to finally confront the Bloodfall Queen to figure out why exactly she kicked all of this off in the first place. I should mention that throughout all of this I am also very slowly rebuilding the town with new houses and shops. There's just not much more to say about it other than that, so I haven't really thought the need to bring it up until now. Anyway, the Queen. Well, she's back in the forest because of course, except wait a minute, no she ain't, because the forest zone then transitions into the interior fort zone. Wowzers, truly stunning level design. Well, we meet the Queen and I was ready for a fight, but turns out she's quite civil. She explains her situation that while despite being queen, when her grandfather left to fight in the Great War, he took most of their soldiers with him, so now, even all these years later, her forces are dwindling and she has to mostly rely on mercenaries. This isn't cheap, so that's why she was so adamant to get the taxes from our village before the events of the game. She does mention that the fire that ravaged the place was an accident, as she ordered nobody to break the statue. She apologises, and then we are given 2 different ways to say that we'll help her. I love Fallout 4. Once the conversation is over, she sends her emissary Wanham back to town with me, and the 2 of us are about to get to work dealing with the Queen's enemies, the Green Cap Bandits. Here is one thing I genuinely do love about this. I like that a lot of the main players here, such as Wanham, the Queen, and Sashi, are all non-human races. I like when my fantasy games have their more fantastical races at the forefront. Also, maybe I am just biased because Argonians are my favourite race in the Elder Scrolls, but Wanham is such a bro. He is nice to me, he seemingly gets on well with everyone in town, and to jump ahead a bit, while it may just be flavour text, he does accompany you on the odd mission, and even stays back to help to defend the town and others whenever you leave. He's just a solid wee character, and I now mourn the fact that he has effectively been Thanos snapped out of existence. While we were gone, Sashi found out that the Sorcerer King is called Selamaril Lightbringer.
I'm the Lightbringer! I'm the fucking universe!
Despite the name, he was apparently not a nice chap, as the other Iliad kings, along with his own brother Valentius, worked together to stop him in the past and were the ones responsible for magically sealing him in that tomb. Time to do some grave robbing, as Sashi puts it, as she has located Valentius' tomb and figures we'll find out more about Selamaril and the ritual to seal him there. Before that, I clear up more quests that I can't tell if they're important or not, but they get me the odd level, so I suppose they are worth doing to an extent. One in particular introduced the spiders from Skyrim, so that's cool, I didn't plan on sleeping tonight anyhow. The Queen Spider here also packs quite a punch. So much so that I die for the first time. Rather than just reloading, we have the options to go back to town, restart from the beginning of the quest, or simply pop one of the revive scrolls we have. The answer here is rather obvious. We're back in peak condition, whereas the Queen is still on death's door, so we can just cheese out the fight like this. Seems to me if I just get a lot of resurrection scrolls, I could probably just brute force my way through just about anything. Worth keeping in mind. Well, I get round to spelunking with Sashi and I'm greeted to a somewhat more unique looking room in this band of ruins, along with an accompanying cutscene. The wall tells us of Valentius fighting back against Selmaril's forces and then trapping his brother in the tomb. Somehow. Pretty much what we already knew, but Sashi is convinced she can find out more, so I just let her crack on while helping Wanham bully more of the Greencaps. Level 11 now, and I decided why the hell not, time to see what this abyss is all about. Monotonous is how I'd describe it. You just walk from room to room, killing random enemies who get slightly tougher every floor you go down, until eventually you reach a point where they outlevel you and you perish. You can get some rewards for getting enough kills, and if you manage to go further past your current level, you start to get an XP multiplier. But the time I spent doing so, it honestly would have been faster to just do some jobs or redo some arena fights. I am sure it might be more beneficial later on, but for now, it just seems like a waste of time. The rewards also sucked too, by the way. No time to waste, more townsfolk to rescue. Pool of Despair, that's one way to put it I suppose. A little different to be fair, turns out they weren't captured by bandits or goblins, but rather by some cultists. Mostly all mages, so not a lot of hit points, but their ice magic can slow me down, which is a pain. It's around here that I only just realised that they finally found a way to nerf the stealth archer build in one of their games. And the solution was to simply remove bows altogether. Yeah, I'm about 5 hours in and only now just realised that I'd yet to see a single bow or arrow. I'll be honest, I think I checked out a little around R4. It's a lot of the same. Maybe to be expected from a mobile game, but still. I'm trying to just mention the parts that stood out the most, like how the leader of these cultists was wearing a Falmer helmet for some reason. It looks cool, so I'm not judging the fit, I just don't think she has anything to do with them. She also is no stronger than her fodder, so this all ends rather anticlimactically. Once more, back to town, and I keep getting hit with these pop-ups for sigil events, so I decide to see what that's all about. Typical quest structure of dropped in one of the few similar looking areas and sent to kill everything in sight. The major difference this go around is that enemies seem to have specific quirks. For instance, in this one, they could only be hurt with slashing weapons and nothing else. Well, as I am still using a sword, that doesn't change anything on my end. That said, I still appreciate them trying to spice things up a bit. After finishing the quest, I get 1 sigil and the ability to do the quest again, but make it slightly harder for more sigils. The idea seemingly being to grind these out for as many sigils as you can, then just use them in the sigil store. Haven't interacted with either of the shops yet, but we shall see in the future. As for now, I am still on somewhat of a time limit to finish the main quest before the game goes kaput, so I just returned to Nerbit to see what's next on the chopping block. Before I jump straight into another quest, I begin to upgrade a bit. I now have access to silver weapons, and seeing as a fair number of enemies have weaknesses to hacking weapons, I decided to craft an axe. Also built a place to enchant my weapons, for the record. I lack the resources to make truly powerful magical weapons, but for the moment this frost enchantment should suffice. I went with Frost after being on the receiving end of the cultist ice spells and noticing just how strong slowing down your opponent can be in a game like this. Did another arena quest, and I was off to find a scholar who could decipher the stone tablet, seeing as the cat could not. From the forest to the ruins, it was all very familiar. But hey, I must be doing something right, cause even though I am not abusing their weaknesses, I am still easily deboning many a skeleton. I would also like to reiterate, the strat I figured out during the first hour of well-timed block into stun into 2-hit combo followed by 1 ability is still carrying me through every single fight. Even if something survives that, we just restart the process. Once we emerge in the oh-so-familiar ruins, it's not long before we find our translator, Telerindel. Apparently, the tablet mentions he was defeated in part thanks to a scroll that the Queen's men took when they were at the village. To the surprise of no one, it is in fact an Elder Scroll. Sashi is ecstatic at the idea of an Elder Scroll, but is less so about the arrival of Thalmor agents in the town. They're looking for me, but they don't know that they're looking for me. They just assume that the blade they are searching for is somewhere in the vicinity. This opens up another whole side quest line, much like the arena, but with the Thalmor. It involves sending them on wild goose chases to dangerous areas by pretending you know where the blade is, in the hopes of something there killing them and solving the problem for you. Seeing as Aranande, the leader of this group, keeps dragging me along to every mission to help though, the plans keep ending with me killing the threat and her getting increasingly more suspicious of the whole ordeal. What I have just described takes place sporadically over the next 4 hours. I am just putting it all on the table now to avoid jumping back and forth between it and what's important. Speaking of, the main quest now involves asking around to find out where Valentius may be buried. This has us getting 3 possible leads, with none of them being correct. We might have better luck finding him if we didn't keep checking the same 3 fucking locations. In a somewhat change of pace, I got to start fighting trolls. Unfortunately for them, I made another axe for this occasion, only this one does fire damage, as I know from previous entries it absolutely melts them, and Blades is no different. I'm also level 13 now, by the way. While writing this part, realised I hadn't mentioned my level in a bit, so figured I'd bring it up. Also, I feel it's important for what comes next. This was the moment I just stopped even remotely exploring any of these zones and just started gunning for the finish line, even ignoring most chests that were in plain sight. Why? Well, even though I am now using orcish gear, all the chests were still only spitting out iron or hide. They aren't even worth selling or breaking down, as I get more materials and money from just killing things and finishing quests. Is it clear by this point this has become more of an obligation? 'Cause it really should. I'm going to finish the main quest because, again, I think it is important that I at least get to do so before I can't. But golly gee, the novelty of this ran out quite some time ago. Back to the plot, we meet back up with the Queen, and she informs us the Elder Scroll was stolen by some thieves, thus we need to go and get it back. Not sure how to weave this in exactly, but we have reached the turning point that most free-to-play games run into. You know the one. Constructions back at town are now taking hours on end, as are upgrades for weapons to make them even somewhat viable, seeing as enemies are now starting to outlevel me from mission to mission, and they themselves now have recommended level requirements above where I currently am. Essentially, the game is trying to lure me into spending real money to get gems, which I can then use to speed through the crafting and building wait times, as well as buy chests for chances at better gear. It's kinda scummy, but here's the thing. As the game is dying shortly, the developers were nice enough to just give everybody 50,000 gems so that players could experience all the game had to offer before it sunsets. I may have stopped having fun a while ago, but I can still appreciate that. All the microtransactions are also substantially cheaper as well. Chests, for example, cost only a single gem regardless of rarity, so there is nothing stopping you from buying just a whole bunch of them until you get what you want. For the time, I decided to not use the chests until I thought absolutely necessary. As for the speeding up of building times, I just started throwing my gems at them. I was not going to wait over an hour for the blacksmith to craft me an ever so slightly stronger axe. More questing, more monotony, but while working for the Queen, we discover that the Green Cap Bandits are working with the goblins, so that's not ideal. That said, I am sure Gaius is salivating at the thought of new ways to kill them. I'm still looking for that scroll, by the way. One of the places we need to look even hits me with a warning before going in, saying I may be too weak for this. No clue what it was on about as I steamrolled through the lot of it without breaking a sweat. I even got a gold chest for finishing it too. This I do take the time to open, as after all, it's in my inventory as a reward. And to my delight, and then immediate disappointment, it is my first legendary piece of gear, and it's for some shitty hide armor. Alright, that's it, I'm getting me wallet. I buy my first chest, and yes, the legendary orcish helmet is cool and all, but what's even better, if you ask me, is the 147 orichalcum ingots, 7 revive scrolls, and abundance of jewels. The ingots and scrolls are obvious why they're good, but the jewels I haven't really touched on yet. Simply put, they aren't just for making rings and necklaces, but are required for higher tier upgrades on your gear. So while my actual armor rewards from the chest are lackluster, I can use the jewels and ingots to upgrade my stuff to as high as feasibly possible. Costs frankly a disgusting number of gems to get all this stuff ready, but figured it would be worth it to speed things along. Back to the plot, still struggling to find where that stolen Elder Scroll is, Sashi finally just recommends I speak with the travelling merchant Arvin Dallas, who just so happens to have stumbled into town at this very moment. Sure enough, he gives me the location of a haunted forest to check out. Before that, me and Wanham have a friendly duel in the arena, just two lizard bros being bros. Also got to warn some Talos worshippers about the Thalmor that are in town, and in the process got to thin out a couple of Ariana Grande's men with her being none the wiser. Anyway, onto the spooky forest. It's not that spooky, in fact, it's no different than it ever was. I was caught mildly off guard by two things though. First off, just how fast we made it to the scroll, and secondly, Selamaril, the old Iliad king, who is now a lich that we have been tracking this entire time, is just here, with the scroll, and I easily, effortlessly just hack him to pieces. While that would normally be the end, you know, kill the main antagonist and take his magical MacGuffin, I still have about 4 hours of footage left, so what's going on here? Well, he's only mostly dead. See, we still need to do the special ritual that the scroll was needed for to take him out semi-permanently, but defeating him here has essentially bought us some more time to get things ready. For example, we need someone to help with the scroll. I honestly just assumed at this point a moth priest might fall out of the sky and do the translating for us, but no. Instead, Sashi reveals that she is friends with a nearby dragon who should help. Yeah, okay, why not? We find Shulkanak in a nearby cave and we get to chatting. He tells us the scroll will need to be used to bind Selmaril to the future where he fails to escape, and the incantation his brother and the other ancient kings used to seal him away must be recited while wearing Selmaril's lost crown. I should probably also hop on one foot while rubbing my tummy and patting my head just to be safe. The dragon does not know where the crown is at, so that's fun. Also, he insists on fighting us to make sure we are strong enough to fight Selmaril when the time comes. Ignore the fact how easily we just beat him down, I guess. End up having to use a revive scroll during this fight, but that's all on me. I did not heal before talking to the dragon. I am using a fire weapon, which he heavily resists, and to top it off, I forgot to make potions of fire resistance, so I get barbecued when he starts spitting hot fire. After the full heal though, I beat him quite readily. Honestly, getting all your health back is one thing, but all your cooldowns resetting along with stamina refilling to max just lets me bust out my strongest abilities again with next to no drawbacks. We also don't have to kill him, we just lower his health to about a quarter before the fight ends. I get a pitiful amount of XP despite besting a dragon, but once we make it back to town and just get a whole heaping of new fetch quests, I once more take some time to upgrade, seeing as I have just reached the next tier and can now use Dwarven. Look, this has kind of been going on long enough. I have almost nothing more to add at this point. It's the same cycle of go to one of like 4 locations, fight the same enemies over and over, fight a slightly tougher enemy, maybe rescue some folks, then return to town. I have been doing this for about 10 hours at this stage. It is mentally breaking me with how boring it is. There is only so many ways I can talk about what's happening on screen when the gameplay objectives and the methods in which you progress have not changed at all since the first 30 minutes. Also, now the game starts making the main quest's recommended levels around 10 higher than where I'm currently at, so now enemies start packing more health and become even more of a slog to get through. Sure, they spice it up here and there a little with a couple of dragon fights, even reusing the skeleton dragon that was in that one cave in Skyrim, but even that boils down to block, attack, abilities, repeat once they stop going scorched earth on you. So I am just going to lightning round style this to the finale. Trust me, you are not missing anything. We locate an old enchanter who gives us a talisman which allows us to communicate with Valentius so we can figure out the incantation to seal Selmaril. Long story short, we'll also need some Varla stones and to rebuild the town statue so we can insert said stones like a plaque of Duracells to power the seal. We get them from a quest where we have to go through some trials. All trials by combat that mostly all involve fighting Atronax. Lovely. We learn there is also a spy in our midst. This has me asking if just about everyone in town is a spy until something gives. Quest has no real satisfying payoff either, considering that even after apprehending them, I still had no idea who they were. Apparently, they were the town priest. Alright, I never spoke with them though. Also, 2 subplots are going on with a traitor in the Queen's midst, as well as hunting another different dragon with another former member of the Blades, that ends with me dueling him instead as I felt like sparing the dragon. Gaius then wants me to help him start a race war amongst the goblins, what the fuck dude, and then I found the crown that was held by another bone dragon. Rocks my shit, but due to having so many revive scrolls, as a wise man once said, I'm fucking invincible! Everyone's ready for the final fight, but as I am very below the level recommended, I try to do some other stuff I had lying around to gain some XP. But all of it was taking so long, I just decided screw it and threw caution to the wind. Selmaril has a sense of flair, I suppose, as he meets us in the arena for the final battle. I honestly thought this last encounter was going to take place in the town square, but oh well. Unlike the fight with the dragon though, I actually prepared this go around by stocking up on just about every type of potion, poison and resistance tonic that I could make. I am hitting hard, my defences could not be higher if I tried, and I am chugging down gallons of health potions throughout the ordeal. The same game plan as ever comes into play during combat. I will say he has a hefty amount of spells at his disposal, so I was right to make those resistance potions. And he also blocks a hell of a lot more than anything else I've fought so far, so swinging willy-nilly gets me stunned a lot. It was going very well, and then he killed me. It's a good thing I have these. Only needed one, though. He's got fast health regen, all things considered, but I just kept willing on him with my abilities, and in the end, he flops dead like everything else. I was completely expecting a phase 2, you can even see me briefly look around flabbergasted before the quest complete screen pops up and I get my rewards, along with a quest that finally awards a huge chunk of experience. We are then treated to a brief sweeping shot of our town, I talk with some of the main players to hear what they have to say, and then that's really it. There was more of the side stories still left, I even did most of them, except for the arena one, as I have to be upwards of level 30 to even gain access to some of those, and could not be bothered to even think about grinding out for them. So yeah, with that, the day is saved, finishing the game and proving, yes, I could indeed beat the Elder Scrolls Blades before it was deleted. But at what cost? I did not like this very much, if that wasn't abundantly clear. It was fun at first, but like I said earlier, the novelty and charm ran out fast, and then it was just the same areas and objectives for 10 plus hours until making it to that incredibly anticlimactic final boss. At the very least, I was able to finish it for myself and for my own thoughts and feelings about it. Again, no matter how good or bad a game is, it should never be outright deleted entirely, especially considering some people would have spent real money on this. In fact, by the end, I had spent just under 18,000 of the 50,000 gems that they gave you for free. If we look at this, we can then surmise that if I had paid for these gems, then the roughly 18,000 I used would have cost me, at minimum, $133.95. Or more specifically for me, around £101.07. That is absurd. No game is worth over £100, let alone a mobile game. Regardless, that's going to be the end of the challenge video. If you enjoyed what you saw, consider the video a like. If you're interested in more challenges in the future, feel free to subscribe. I'm trying to run these videos out fairly frequently. My name's Nerbit. Stay safe, everyone. I'll see y'all in the next video.